Yes. So Sugi, there are a lot of concerns around AI. We know what they are. Some of them are really valid. And, we're not here to waylay anybody's concerns. We want to hear them all. I certainly, as a consultant, want to hear what people are saying. And that way we can have better dialogue around the discussions that we're having, whether it's before Congress or, with AI experts and software builders themselves. Let's address some of those concerns for our audience. Your work extends outside of Hollywood. So what would you say to people as we're talking about AI in a public space?
Well, first and foremost, I would say the fears are valid. So you have to understand that these things are coming into the public sphere as conversations because there's a lot to be worried about. And the fact that on top of all of the social inequities we are already dealing with, you're pouring the gasoline of like AI, artificial intelligence, alignment, and super intelligence, and who has access to that, and security, data risks, policing, biases that are already inherent in the system. Uh, there's a lot that we are already having to deal with right now outside of the purview of artificial intelligence being added as fuel to that fire. And so I would say the concerns are very valid, and it is actually unhelpful to ignore or pretend that those things don't exist. And yet, in the same way that when a kid comes into your room, if you're baby, like if you have children or if you're babysitting or whatever, like you have a small child who's very afraid and says there's a monster in the closet, it's probably not the best idea to say, "Oh my God, where?" and then hide. Right? There's something really important about recognizing, like, oh, this is a valid fear. How can we hold space for it? How can we recognize it and not let it drive our central nervous system? And so, my orientation is to recognize the fear and ask, where is this fear coming from? And how do I want this fear to motivate me to learn more and educate myself? And so, I would I would very much advise against taking the ostrich approach, which is seeing something that scares you and then saying like, "Oh my God, I hate this, so I'm never going to interact with it, and I'm going to stick with my head in the sand and hope that it goes away because it's not going to go away." And the most helpful thing that we can do is to educate ourselves, learn as much as we can, so that we can see where does AI actually work for us in our lives, and where does it not work for us. And when we're having a conversation with someone, don't we want to know what the issues are and even what we want to advocate for on our behalf? If I'm engaging with an AI and I'm seeing where it's failing, I'm seeing where it's doing really well, I'm seeing what places in my own heart I start to feel like, ooh, this sounds a little bit too much like me, and I need to start to think about how do I want to engage with emails from people, from the outside? Like, how do I want to engage with media and communication from the outside? How do I want to think about AI in the world? Um, it can be an avenue to be more mindful and thoughtful about the world abroad if we engage with it and if we ask questions about it. And so I think the fear is vital and it is important to recognize, but not to let it be something that pushes us away from learning and away from expanding our our worldview, but something that sort of pushes us and like hiding and making us feel like we don't want to engage with it. I think it's vital to learn and to have these conversations and to use it as often as possible so that uh, you know how to advocate for yourself and your needs in these systems.
Absolutely, Suki. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I've written several articles about artificial intelligence and how it's been used in various sectors and impacting business, government, civil society, you name it. And one of my bottom lines is that it's not going away. We've got to not only learn what it does, how we can leverage it, and then also address the concerns around, the things that definitely need improvements. So you hit the nail on the head. Souki Mehdaoui, thank you so much for being with us. You are an absolute rock star. We appreciate you for coming in today, all the way from Mauritius, by the way, a few days before your wedding. Congratulations.